There, in the court of kings and dreams, I wore the mask of a fool, but behind that laughter lurked a truth sharper than any blade. I was Elian, a name now lost in the echo of forgotten jests. What if I told you that the laughter you hear is often the sound of desperate hearts hiding from the darkness? The air thick with the scent of aged parchment and betrayal, it felt like the lingering aroma of rotten fruit in a sunlit market. But the biggest secret? The greatest jesters hide the most haunting truths. My childhood ended in flames. The hired killers coming as shadows, stealing my home, my family, leaving only ashes. The screams still echo in my mind, a sound like tearing flesh, the heat licking at my skin. I was but a child, clutching a ragged doll, lost in a world turned to hell. They took everything, yet I survived. Survival came at a cost. I would become the fool, but also the watchful eye among the foolish. A wandering troubadour found me, a father disguised in laughter. He taught me to juggle my fears, to dance between the flames of despair and hope. The rough strings of his lute were like the jagged edges of my reality. Each note a salve, each song a battle cry. Remember, Elian, the joke is the mask. Wear it well, and the world will never see your pain. Little did I know, my masks would soon be woven into the tapestry of courtly intrigue. I was summoned to the court, the jester at a king plus's side. My humor was my armor, my laughter a shield against the wolves in velvet cloaks. The aroma of rich meats and sweet wines enveloped me, masking the pungent scent of treachery. In the midst of splendor, I felt the cold touch of danger lurking behind every grin. The king's laughter hid sharp teeth, but the moment I overheard their whispered conspiracies, everything changed. Hiding behind the opulent tapestry, I became a silent witness to betrayal. The king's words were poison, each syllable dripped in malice. The taste of bile rose in my throat as I heard the dagger of intent unsheathed. If you refuse my offer, then perhaps your son should learn to bend. Silence wrapped around me like a noose. I understood then. Truth is a luxury, and I was but a tool in their ruthless game. The next day, I danced amidst the laughter, my heart heavy as lead. My movements were a pretense, a joyous mask over a heart gripped by terror. The sweat dripped down my brow, mingling with my forced smile, the ambiance a cruel facade. The truth is, the jester who speaks of fear lives on borrowed time. I became a storyteller cloaked in humor, hiding my grim reality. In the shadows of revelry, I realized those who laugh often carry the heaviest burdens. I felt like a surgeon wielding a blunt instrument, my words often more dangerous than the weapons drawn in the night. And while I danced with death, the truth lingered just out of reach, until the fateful night of autumn's harvest festival. Under the guise of celebration, I prepared for the greatest performance of my life. But deception breeds chaos, and chaos breeds blood. The scent of roasted chestnuts mingled with the acrid stench of sweat and anxiety. My heart thundered as the moment of truth approached. Would my jests betray the very truth I sought to share? I felt like a moth drawn to a flame, knowing the risks yet unable to resist. And when the truth finally revealed itself, it was a harbinger of terror. That night, truth spilled out like the wine that once flowed freely. The jester became the witness to death, betrayal, and the shadows of ambition. The cold chill of fear wrapped around my soul, the night air thick with the weight of unspoken words and unseen faces. I realized loneliness is the true fate of a jester, for in every jest lies a silent truth. In the shadows of death, I found a flicker of life, the truth that laughter, even when masked in pain, is the bridge to freedom. And perhaps, just perhaps, in the laughter of fools, we can find the wisdom of the ages. If this tale echoed in your heart as it did in mine, subscribe for the next chapter of The Forgotten. For every mask holds a story waiting to be told. In the realm of the forgotten, I learned that the greatest acts of courage come not from the blade, but from the heart that beats beneath layers of paint and silk, the heart that whispers truths when the world demands silence. Would you wear the mask? Would you dance the dance of the fool, knowing the stakes? The laughter we share is a fragile bridge over a sea of despair, and as long as there are jesters willing to risk it all for the truth, there will always be hope. In a world where the truth is often buried beneath layers of artifice, the jester stands unique, a reflection of society's hidden truths. As I performed, I dressed my words in humor, but behind every quip lay a lesson veiled in laughter. It was a dangerous game, one where losing meant more than just the loss of reputation. It could mean losing one's life. The court became my stage, but it was also my prison. Each performance a reminder that the truth is often the first casualty in a game of power. The king's laughter rang through the halls, but there was an edge to it, a warning to those who dared to challenge the status quo. I had become a living contradiction, celebrated yet invisible, adored yet alone. With each jest, I navigated the treacherous waters of court politics, my heart heavy with the weight of secrets I could never share. I often wondered if the laughter I elicited would ever drown out the whispers of betrayal that haunted my every step. As the jester, I became both the mirror and the mask, a paradox that echoed through the corridors of power. What would become of me? I danced on the edge of a blade, my fate entwined with the whims of those who sat upon gilded thrones. The weight of my role pressed down upon me, a reminder that the laughter of the court could turn to silence in an instant. And so I continued, weaving my tales into the fabric of the court's revelry, each story a thread in a tapestry filled with intrigue and danger. I reveled in the absurdity of it all, while knowing that each jest might cost me dearly. But this was my life, a dance upon the precipice where laughter and sorrow intertwined. But one fateful evening, as the skies darkened and the court gathered for a grand celebration, a storm brewed on the horizon. Unbeknownst to us all, as the music played and the goblets overflowed with wine, the air crackled with tension. The king, buoyed by arrogance and wine, sought to solidify his power, and I found myself at the center of a game far more dangerous than any I had played before. In the midst of laughter and feasting, the glint of betrayal shone brighter than the finest jewels. I stood there, a jester with a heart full of fear, watching as the players moved across the board. Would I dance my way through this deadly game, or would I become yet another victim of the court's insatiable hunger for power? As the night unfolded, I felt the heavy burden of my role. Every jest I made bore the weight of unspoken truths. Every laugh echoed with the fear of what lay ahead. I was trapped in a masquerade, a swirling dance of joy and dread, where the line between friend and foe blurred. But when the truth finally spilled forth like the wine from a broken goblet, the laughter turned to silence. The darkness that had long lurked beneath the surface erupted, and I stood witness, a fool among kings, a jester in a realm of chaos. And just as I had learned to mask my fears with laughter, I faced a moment where the roles would be reversed. In the shadows, I caught a glimpse of the true nature of power, the ruthless ambition that fueled the hearts of those I once thought loyal. The court was a stage, and we were all actors in an unforgiving play, where betrayal was the script and survival was the prize. As the chaos unfurled around me, I knew I had to choose: to continue playing the part of the fool or to break free from the chains of deceit. But what would my choice cost me? In a world where truth was the first casualty, could laughter be my shield, or would it become my shroud? The jester's mask slipped, revealing the truth lurking beneath. I realized then that survival was not merely about evading death, but also about embracing the reality of the human condition, the pain, the laughter, the connections that bind us in our shared struggles. As the storm of betrayal surged, I chose to embrace the truth, to stand firm amidst the chaos. I would be the jester who dared to speak even when silence was the safer path. And in that choice, I found a flicker of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit when faced with the darkest of nights. In the end, it was not the laughter that defined me, but the courage to reveal the truth hidden beneath the mask. The court would forever remain a dangerous place, but as long as I had the heart of a jester and the soul of a warrior, I would continue to navigate its treacherous waters. If this tale resonated with you, if you too feel the weight of laughter and truth intertwined, subscribe for the next chapter in the journey of the forgotten. For in every mask lies a story waiting to be told, and every jest carries the potential to unearth the profound truths that bind us all. As dawn broke over the kingdom, washing the darkness away, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The shadows that lingered might not disappear, but they would no longer hold dominion over my heart. I would dance with them, laugh with them, but I would also reveal the truth they sought to conceal. And perhaps, just perhaps, through my tales and laughter, others would find their courage, their voice, their truth. The jester's path may be fraught with peril, but it is also a journey toward enlightenment, a quest for freedom cloaked in humor. With each performance, I became a vessel for the unspoken, a bridge between those who wield power and those who live beneath its shadow. The laughter of the jester became a rallying cry, a defiance against the darkness that threatened to consume us all. In a world where truth is often tucked away, the jester's role becomes one of profound responsibility. To unveil the hidden, to challenge the status quo, and to remind us that laughter can be a powerful weapon, a tool for healing and unity. So, as I step back onto the stage, my heart beats with a fierce determination. I embrace the journey ahead. Each jest, each dance, each tale shared will be a step towards reclaiming not just my own truth, but also igniting the spark of truth within others. And in the end, when the curtain falls and the laughter fades, we will be left standing, together, in the light of our shared humanity, bound by the truths we dared to reveal. For it is in this space, where laughter meets honesty, that we discover our true selves and the resilience of the human spirit. If you felt a connection to this story, if the jester's journey mirrors your own, join me as we delve deeper into the heart of truth and laughter. Together, let us navigate the complexities of existence, unmasking the truths that lie beneath the surface. For in this journey, we are all jesters, dancing between the light and the dark, forever searching for the truth that lives within us. In my quest to understand the world around me, I realized the power of observation, a skill honed in the shadows of the court. Each gesture, each glance exchanged held secrets, waiting to be unraveled, and I became the keeper of these untold stories. The art of humor was not merely to entertain, but to illuminate the truths hidden beneath layers of deception. As the jester, I wore my mask, but I also wielded my wit like a sword, cutting through the fabric of lies that cloaked the noble class. Every laugh echoed the struggles of those who suffered in silence. Every jest was a reminder of the humanity that persisted beneath the facade of power. I became a mirror, reflecting the absurdity of a world obsessed with status, while ignoring the pain of the common folk. Each performance in the court became a lesson in resilience. I crafted my humor from the very fabric of despair. I spoke truths disguised as jests, and with each quip, I nudged the powerful to confront their own humanity. I realized that laughter has a unique ability to dismantle walls. It can bridge the divide between the oppressor and the oppressed, revealing the shared fears and hopes that bind us together. As I continued my journey, I encountered others who wore their own masks, servants who toiled in obscurity, nobles burdened by expectations, and children who dared to dream in a world that sought to silence them. I began to weave their stories into my performances, each tale a thread in the tapestry of my existence. But in doing so, I also attracted the attention of those who preferred the darkness to remain hidden. Whispers of my defiance echoed through the court, and I could feel the weight of their scrutiny pressing down upon me. The king, ever watchful, began to see me not just as a fool, but as a potential threat, a mirror reflecting his insecurities. One moonlit night, I found myself summoned before him. The grand hall was eerily silent, the air thick with tension. The towering chandeliers cast jagged shadows across the floor, and I felt the cold gaze of the king pierce through me as I knelt before his throne. "Elian," he said, his voice smooth, yet laced with menace, "it seems your jests have begun to stir unrest among my subjects." I swallowed hard, aware that my words could either save me or seal my fate. "Your Majesty, my intent is not to incite rebellion, but to bring laughter to those who have forgotten how to smile." I dared to meet his gaze, hoping to convey the sincerity of my words. He leaned forward, a predatory glint in his eye. "Do you believe that laughter can change the hearts of men? Or are you simply a fool clinging to the delusion that humor can mask the truth?" The weight of his challenge hung in the air, and I knew I was treading a delicate line. "Perhaps it is not the laughter itself, but the truth it reveals," I replied, my heart pounding in my chest. "In jest, there lies the essence of our shared humanity. It is the acknowledgement of our flaws and fears that allows us to connect. For a long moment, the king remained silent, his expression inscrutable. In that instant, I felt the enormity of my words, the risk of speaking such truths in a world that so often cloaked itself in lies. But I also felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps my words could resonate even with the king. "Very well, Elian," he finally said, a sly smile creeping across his face. "You shall entertain us during the harvest festival. Let us see if your laughter can indeed weave through the fabric of this court." I nodded, swallowing the relief that began to wash over me. The festival would be my stage, a chance to share the truths I had gathered and the hopes I had stitched together in the silence of my heart. But as the day approached, I understood that the stakes were higher than ever. The king's interest was a double-edged sword, and my ability to survive depended on my skill in navigating the treacherous waters of courtly politics. As the festival day dawned, I prepared myself for the performance of a lifetime. The castle was adorned with garlands of flowers, vibrant banners fluttering in the breeze, and joyful music filled the air. Laughter and chatter echoed, a stark contrast to the heavy thoughts weighing down my heart. I donned my jester's attire, each stitch a reminder of the stories I carried and the truths I sought to unveil. In the midst of the celebrations, I took to the stage, my heart racing as I began my routine. The crowd was a sea of faces, some familiar, others foreign, each one a silent witness to the dance of power and pretense. I launched into a series of jest-filled anecdotes and clever wordplay, weaving in the tales of those who had inspired me. With every laugh I elicited, I felt a thrill of connection, a momentary bond forged in shared amusement. Yet beneath the laughter lay a current of unease. I could sense the scrutiny of the nobles and the whispers of the king lingering like a storm cloud overhead. As the performance unfolded, I took a deep breath, preparing to deliver the final jest, the one that would reveal the heart of my message. Clutching my lute, I shifted my tone, allowing a hint of seriousness to seep through the mirth. "You see, my lords and ladies, we are all but jesters in this grand play called life. We wear our masks to hide our fears, our vulnerabilities, but in truth, it is our shared laughter that reminds us we are not alone." The hall fell silent, the laughter fading into pensive stares. I felt the weight of those gazes, the tension thickening the air. We dance not only for joy, but to confront the shadows that lurk in the corners of our hearts. For it is only when we acknowledge our truths that we can truly connect with one another. In that moment, I saw the flickers of understanding danced across the faces of the crowd, a glimmer of recognition that perhaps they too were longing for authenticity in a world cloaked in artifice. But as I looked toward the throne, I caught the king's eye, and his expression was anything but pleased. The room reverberated with a charged silence, and the atmosphere shifted like a storm brewing on the horizon. I braced for the storm to break as I stood exposed, both vulnerable and resolute before the court. The laughter that had once filled the hall was replaced by an undercurrent of tension, a delicate balance between admiration and fear that sent a shiver down my spine. Just as I was about to lose my nerve, I heard an unexpected ripple of applause from the crowd, a soft, tentative acknowledgement that surged into a chorus of approval. For a brief moment, I felt the walls of my prison begin to crack. In that shared recognition, the laughter returned, echoing through the hall and transforming the atmosphere. Yet I knew too well that the king's favor could turn as quickly as the wind. My heart raced, and I prepared for the inevitable confrontation that would follow. The performance was a success, but it also left me standing on the precipice of peril, exposed to the whims of those who held power. As the festival concluded and the revelers began to disperse, I felt the foreboding weight of the king's gaze linger on me. I had challenged him, and though the crowd had embraced my words, I knew that dissent could not go unpunished. I had cast a light into the shadows, and the darkness would retaliate. In the days that followed, the atmosphere of the court shifted dramatically. Whispers of discontent grew louder, and I felt the noose tightening around my neck. Rumors circulated that the king was considering a new decree, one that would silence the voices of dissent, ensuring conformity among the nobles. The laughter I had evoked seemed to fade, overshadowed by a rising tide of fear. Yet even amidst the looming danger, a flicker of hope remained alive in my heart. I had touched the lives of those who heard my words, and I realized that my role as a jester was not only to entertain, but to illuminate the truth that lay buried beneath the masks we all wore. In the quiet moments of my solitude, I reflected on the impact of my performance. The laughter may have subsided, but the seeds of truth had been planted in the hearts of those who dared to listen. Perhaps I had lit a spark of rebellion that could not be easily extinguished, but I could not ignore the peril I faced. I knew I had to make a choice, to continue risking my life by speaking the truth or to retreat into silence, allowing the darkness to reclaim its hold over the court. As I deliberated, a sense of urgency surged within me. The festival had awakened something in me, a fire that demanded to be nurtured. I could not abandon the voices of those who had found solace in my jests. The decision became clear: I would not be silenced. My resolve solidified as I donned my jester's attire once more, this time with newfound determination. The court may have sought to suppress the truth, but I would become the beacon of light that guided others through the shadows. I would continue to weave my tales, coaxing laughter from pain and stitching together the fragmented souls of those around me. And so I stepped back onto the stage, my voice ringing with newfound clarity. As I performed, I infused my jests with the stories of those who had suffered in silence, transforming their pain into a tapestry of laughter and truth. I embraced the risks, knowing that the power of authenticity could break the chains of conformity. With every performance, I laid bare the absurdities of power, reminding the court of the humanity that lay beneath their facades. I became the jester who dared to confront the darkness, knowing that I was not alone in this fight. If this tale resonates with you, if you too feel the weight of laughter and truth intertwined, subscribe for the next chapter in this journey of a forgotten fool. Together, let us navigate the complexities of existence, unmasking the truths that lie beneath the surface. For in this journey, we are all jesters, dancing between the light and the dark, forever searching for the truth that lives within us. As the final notes of my performance faded into the twilight, I felt an overwhelming sense of purpose wash over me. I had chosen to embrace my role not just as a jester, but as a warrior for truth. The laughter we shared would echo through the corridors of power, challenging the darkness that sought to silence us. In the end, we were all bound by the same thread, the thread of our shared humanity, woven together by our joys, our sorrows, and the truth that binds us. The stage was not merely a performance, it was a platform for authentic connection, an invitation to confront the shadows and illuminate the way forward. And as I took my final bow, I knew that my journey as a jester was far from over. The world was still filled with laughter waiting to be shared, and my voice would continue to echo in the hearts of those willing to listen. Join me, dear friends, as we embrace the power of laughter and truth, together navigating the shadows and celebrating the light that resides within us all. For in this dance of life, we are all seekers, jesters chasing the truth that sets us free.